My name's Phi Tran. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm majoring in neuroscience right now. I don't know why. I just decided to do it. It's one of those things where it just piques your interest, and you're just like, I don't know if I'm interested in anything else, so you just go for it. And I've been breakdancing for about 3 years, not too long. What happened is, I saw ABDC, and I was like, oh, I want to dance. And so I had a friend who did some popping, and he was pretty damn good. And so I asked him for some help. I mean, because he was like more involved in this type of dance culture, I asked him, and he introduced me to some basics, but I've always been an awkward kid. And so when I first started dancing, it was painful. And the problem is, I had my little brothers. I have 2 little brothers. They would make fun of me when I practiced. And so that's an awful feeling. Like, just not to start dancing, but then have people make fun of you. And so what happened is, I had to practice in the middle of the night, because my parents didn't approve of it either. And my brothers would make fun of me, and that just broke my heart. And so when I would practice in the middle of the night, literally, this is during high school, by the way. So I practiced at 2 or 3 in the morning. Class is at 6 or something like that. And so I would practice then, and yeah, I just kept practicing at night because people would judge me, I guess. It started off, you start off dancing. It's always some trivial reason that you start off dancing, whether it's to impress a girl or something. In this case, it was just I just want to be cool. I've been a nerd my whole life. I just want to do something dope. And so I started practicing, and yeah, it starts off that way, but then for things you find a passion for, it just evolves into something else. And it's literally an addiction to dance. That's what you're looking forward to. It's your fallback. When things are going bad, you're just screw it, I'm gonna go dance, and then that's what you do. And so dancing to me specifically it's my stress reliever, or how I avoid reality. In essence, when you're practicing, it really is your own world, because b-boying, you're creating your own dance, essentially, in your own world. So it's you really do have a feeling of isolation. And that's why I think you have such a bonding with people you practice with. You're sharing that intimate world of yours that you're putting your creative thoughts into. Breakdancing, it originated way back in the day. By way back, I mean in the 70s and 60s. But that's compared to other dances, it's relatively new. And it started in New York, actually. There's a story that's told many times, but it started in New York, and it's basically in the ghettos, and it's a free-form type of dance that really took a lot of influence from other dances. If you pay attention, you can see a lot of influences from housing, just everything, martial arts, because what happens was when the dance was so new, people didn't know what exactly to do. I mean, there was certain footwork steps, like a 6-step, I guess. But then people would see a movie and oh, you know what, I did that martial arts wushu stuff, and maybe I can incorporate it. And so you take these small influences from everything, movies, martial arts, just other dances too, just straight up from other dances, and eventually they just compile together and you get something unique. There are multiple components of it. There's the standing up part, which people call up rock or top rock. And the second part is footwork, or down rock. And it's when you're on your hands and you're using your feet and you're moving around. There are also freezes, which are when, it's a freeze. It's pretty self-explanatory. You know it when you see it. And then there are power moves, which are taken from gymnastics. well, originally taken from gymnastics. The flare is like so common now. But the funny thing is that it's kind of like, it's done a full circle because b-boys took flares from gymnastics, and from that they created air flares. And now you see air flares actually being incorporated back into gymnastics. And so it's interesting. Just a little random tidbit. The thing about b-boying is it's really catered to each person because it's so freeform. I mean, not like, because it doesn't have a specific structure like other dance, like classical dances that have been established. Like people over time have established like a regimen, what's efficient and what's not. And so what you get for b-boying is, hey, let's go practice. And if we get better, we get better. If we don't, then I guess we're bad. And what happens a lot is you get this disparity in skill, and you get a lot of people that quit too because they don't know how to approach it. But in that way, you get a certain appeal to the people who do continue because they do what they want, essentially. Dances are broke. All dances are broke. And it's just because we put so much time in this dance, we don't put any time in anything else. And so we don't get money. And it's like expensive too, like going to these events and putting money out. Like you have to pay the spectators fee. It's like we fund our own culture. And so to a certain extent, it's cool because you get like this underground culture that develops. B-boys and break dancers are on the lower end of the totem pole because you can't really, it's really individualistic, and it's really hard to promote something that's so individualistic because with choreography you can get a group of people to do it. And for b-boying it's a lot harder to just be like, okay, we got 10 b-boys, let's do this choreo. And the thing is, like, every b-boy is practiced differently. Everyone has a different style, and to get them to really match is pretty difficult. And so the thing is, I think b-boys, compared to other dances, they've been popular before, but they're not necessarily like doing well, because you can more people make a living off of choreographing than b-boys, you could say. Like even the b-boys that do well, they're broke. The only thing is like they live in a cheap apartment and they get flown places, and that's the only perk of them being really good and being international level, and that's a shame. It's just the type of dance that makes it difficult to be incorporated into, I guess, it's hard to create a business side to it because of its form and how new it is too. For people that are trying to get into it, yeah, it's hard. I mean, I had a background in martial arts, so like it wasn't that difficult to start off. And the most difficult part is the initial, as everything, it's just that first couple months, that first phase where you're just trying to get a foothold in what you're doing. And a lot of times people won't get that foothold, and so they'll quit. And you just, I've seen it so many times where it's just like, I want to start, but I don't know where, and it's like I can't learn anything. It's, I mean, at the same time I feel sorry, but at the same time I don't, because the people that actually got good at this dance, they sacrificed a lot, and people, it's like, oh, but it hurts. It's like, yeah, I know, it doesn't just hurt for you, it hurts for everyone else. When you complain about stuff like that, it's just like, yeah, all of us went through it. And in some cases, some of us even more, like we're sacrificing even more of our body to do it. For breaking, I mean, you have a passion for it, so you have to keep doing it. And the depressing part is you don't really have that much of a future for it. Like, there is nothing that you can really fall back on later on. It's just you just work hard, you strive for this one glorious series of months where you're like, people know you and you're really good, but then it's just like, after that, it's, if you're not as good anymore, you just fall off. And so there isn't really any long-term things with this dance. It's a shame because you can't make a living. And so there's no longevity to it because, at least like career-wise, unless you develop your whole life to it. And it's just really hard to commit everything to it. And so my future plans for this is just keep doing it as a hobby. And by hobby, I mean it's my main focus, but I tell my parents it's my hobby. And I mean, I'm probably not going to get anything out of it. I don't expect to get anything out of it, but I still do it because it's what I like to do.